A lot of people are on their phones texting with people they already know.
Yes.
They have an established relationship. Presumably they're continuing to maintain, if not build those relationships by doing that. And I think that going back to this eye gaze thing from earlier, eyes down into a little box, it's a thicker shell to break through, right? Like I don't think any of us really feel comfortable interrupting somebody texting or on a call.
Right, correct.
I mean, I wouldn't do that.
You would think of it as bad manners, impolite.
Yeah, they're clearly in a conversation with somebody else.
Exactly.
The same way I wouldn't just walk up and interrupt.
Yes.
Actually, yesterday I was at a social gathering. There was like 3 people talking, and these guys all knew each other. I was the stranger in the group, and like you sort of learn like how what is this? You have to quickly assess like what is this conversation. So I said, sorry, I don't know if I'm interrupting something critical, but if so, I'm going to stand right here. No, I just said if I'm interrupting, like and they're like, no, like you have to be able to know how to break into a conversation. It's very hard when people are on their phones.
It can be. The way I think of it is you're giving people an invitation. I got off the train one morning. There was this guy came up behind me. I remember this very distinctly. He was a little taller than I was. So I'm about 6 foot. He was probably 6'3". Looks like an Orthodox monk, right? He's got this big long beard, graying beard, long hair. Looks like the last thing he would want to do is talk to another person. A very stern, kind of dead, off to work face. And I saw him come up, sidle up next to me. He'd already put his left earbud in, and he was putting his right earbud in at the same time, right? It would have been easy for me to infer that he didn't want to talk to me. Right? But of course, nobody was talking to him either. Nobody's talking. And so that signal was a little ambiguous. What does it mean? Does he want to talk to me? It's not clear. He could be putting his earbud in because nobody's talking to him. He doesn't think other people want to talk to him, so he's just going to get off to work, right? Get away from all these jerks. I turned to him and said, "Hi, I'm Nick." Most powerful words you have in your life. Hi, I'm whoever you are. I'm Nick. He took out his earbud, and he turned to me, and he just like came alive, like I was flipping a switch on his back. Huge smile. "Hi, I'm Thibault." Turns out he was French, very strong French accent. We became friends over the years, right? We walked down 4 blocks to my office there. And so sometimes these cues can be ambiguous. And you don't know what the cue means until you test it. So the way I think about reaching out to connect with other people, to test our fears, right? Our anxiety, our interpretations of other people, knowing that we can make mistakes with each other, is to think of it as an invitation. Right? When I turned to Gustavo yesterday, Brian last night, my cab driver, my Uber driver this morning, I wasn't demanding anything. I was offering up an opportunity, an invitation to connect if they wanted to, right? Didn't have to pull their earbud out. Brian last night had a little video game player in front of him, right? I thought maybe he wanted to play video games. No, he was happy to talk, right? We kind of went in and out. I had a manuscript review I had to do. But if you start thinking of these opportunities as potential places where you might be misunderstanding somebody, and don't take your beliefs about another person for granted, but treat them as bets that might be wrong, well, then you start to see places where maybe you'd made a mistake, and you give people an opportunity to show you, no, Thibault would have been happy to talk to me. We became friends over years, just because I was willing to test that initial belief I had, which was mistaken, that he didn't want to talk to me. And the problem that at least we find over and over again in our social lives is all too often we infer immediately, we have overly pessimistic expectations about how other people will respond to us when we try, and we just miss opportunities to connect with other people that we could have across the moments of our days, weeks, months, years of our lives that would just enrich our lives in lots of ways if we were willing to test those barriers that were keeping us from connecting with other people to see if, are they made out of steel or is it a pasta noodle? Sometimes they're pasta noodles.
The data I've seen suggests that more and more people are going to church, they're attending other religious gatherings. It seems that
in just recent years, just very recently.
It's really on the upswing. And my guess is there are a number of reasons for that. People want to meet people with a certain set of values. Maybe they are drinking less. Who knows? I think a component of those types of gatherings are that people generally are pretty friendly.
Yes.
It's pretty inviting,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
People still go to festivals too.
Yes.
Like I didn't go, but Coachella was recently.
Yes.
People tend to be in a good mood at festivals.
Yes. I was at TED last week.
Okay, so
it was
another
very
good
friendly.
example.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just, we could pepper with different examples, and I think it is important to do so. I didn't want to imply it was just churches, but these kinds of common gatherings where people are there for their own reasons, but also to interact with others, including strangers.
Absolutely.
And I think this in my mind, can be pretty well explained by the fact that people were indoors during the pandemic. A lot of people were anyway, and everyone's on their phones more and devices. So attending venues where there's clearly an impulse towards interacting with strangers. Actually, sauna gatherings are really big in major cities.
Yes.
You know, people not just sitting in a sauna facing out like bleachers, but in around and doing breath work and you know, so and on and on. So it's interesting. I think people really crave this.